What we do is the government, either by design or by long-standing tradition and accident, is very complex. You've got regulatory agencies, you've got the legislature, you've got the executive orders and the executive branch. And it's difficult for a man or a woman who wakes up every day and wants to go to work for a living to understand what's going on in Austin. And most people, landmen, I think in particular, it's what goes on in Austin is a necessary evil, and the less they know about it, the better. That doesn't always work in their favor, but it's worked pretty well for landmen over the years. What I do is try and help them navigate that process, know which people to talk to, know what decision makers can actually affect a piece of legislation or a proposed regulation that is going to affect their business. With most of my clients, it's much more complex. With landmen, it's mercifully simple. They would like the government to stay out of their business and leave them alone and let them go do their job of sustaining the Texas economy and cooling our houses and putting gas in our cars every day. And so that's kind of how I always approach it. Just do what I can to keep them separated and keep the government off their back and let them do their job, which they know how to do infinitely better than the government ever will.
Yeah, I think that's probably the general rule of thumb across the board. Um, so that kind of brings up a question. So you're plugged in, your involvement as a lobbyist, or when the government's in Austin's in session, you're there. Are you kind of just hearing what may be coming? Are you sniffing the winds of change? Or those things that you're identifying? And if you identify something that may be of concern, is that something you're bringing to your clients, to the associations, or is it tend to be like, we'll hear something that's of concern, we'll address that concern to you, and then you work through the channels to try to help gain understanding and maybe steer an informed policy?
It really goes both ways. Most of my clients, like I said, just want to be left alone. So they're rarely on offense, as we call it. Rarely do they have legislation that they want to get passed and they need to garner support from a larger constituency in order to get that thing passed. Mostly it's on defense. And the way we do that, the oil and gas industry is very large in Texas, as y'all very well know. Their lobby presence in Austin is also very large. For many years, they've had fight the good fight just to keep doing what they're doing, and that's been against at different times environmental organizations, against city government that might want to propose where you can put drill pads. Um, the Oil and Gas Association is made up of a large constituency of upstream and downstream producers. Those people pretty much all have lobbyists if they're of a decent size. And so there's a very strong network of information that's shared. They pick up a lot of things. They have a lot of conversations. A lot of what a lobbyist does is have conversations both within our industry group, but then also with the legislators and staff that might be working on. The legislators and staff are going to be the first people to hear if there's a problem out there, or if there's a gotcha coming where they're going to try and limit what the industry can do. They're going to hear about it, and they pass that information on to me, and I would pass it back to my clients and say, hey, there's rumblings of this coming. Want to let y'all know. Want to get your idea. The staff is asking me what I think about it and whether it's going to be a problem, and that helps them advise the legislator that they work for, the House member or the senator, about where they should be on it and whether they should be involved. So there's a lot of just flow of information that goes on, a lot of rumor mongering, and then tracking down those rumors to try and figure out if they're real or if they're a problem. And that's kind of how from the defensive side, that's kind of how we get a lot of the information.